Remember when a group of grown adults in leather jackets went back to high school? And somehow, nobody in the building ever stopped to ask why the new kid looked like he paid rent. Premiering on Fox in April 1987 and running for 5 seasons until 1991. 21 Jump Street followed a unit of young-looking officers who went undercover in high schools and colleges to investigate crimes the regular police couldn't crack from the outside. Leading the unit was Officer Tom Hanson, played by Johnny Depp, a clean-cut rookie whose baby face kept getting him assignments nobody else could pull off. His partner was the louder, scruffier officer Doug Penhall, played by Peter DeLuise. Rounding out the core cast was Officer Judy Hoffa, played by Holly Robinson-Peete, who also happened to be singing the theme song in her spare time. Today we're counting down 15 weird facts about 21 Jump Street you probably never knew. Stick around for number 1, because years later Johnny Depp came back one last time, and it wasn't for a reunion. Before we get into it, hit the like button and subscribe. It helps YouTube put this in front of more classic TV fans who want to see it. Alright, grab your backpack and your badge. Number 15. One character who got more fan mail than Johnny Depp. When a new character shows up on a television show halfway through a season, the audience generally knows the drill. They're either temporary, replaceable, or being introduced specifically so they can exit dramatically during sweeps week. That was the plan for Dennis Booker, played by Richard Grieco.
No, but the antithesis of my character on the show was dark. I was the antagonist on the show.
The character was scheduled to be killed off at the end of season 3. The plan lasted exactly as long as it took for the fan mail to start arriving. Grieco showed up with a smug, rebellious, confidently breaking the rules energy the audience responded to immediately and at volume. By the end of season 3, he was receiving more fan mail than any other cast member on the show, including Johnny Depp. The writers adjusted. Instead of killing Booker off, they handed him the heroic turn. Booker saves Hanson from being framed for murder. You don't kill off the guy whose photo is currently taped inside every teenager's locker in America. You give him the save. Then Fox took the next step. In September 1989, the network launched Booker, the first 21 Jump Street spin-off. The character gets forced off the force after clearing Hanson's name and takes a job as an insurance investigator at the US office of a large Japanese corporation. For Depp, already calling the show an action-packed can of soup, watching a newcomer pull bigger fan response did not improve his mood. Number 14. Johnny Depp kept saying no to the role. Trying to picture 21 Jump Street without Johnny Depp brooding down a high school hallway is genuinely difficult and historically inaccurate. The original Tom Hanson was a guy named Jeff Yagher, who filmed the entire pilot. Fox executives sat down, watched the footage, and came to a decision somewhere between no and absolutely not. Yagher wasn't bad, he just didn't fit the look, which is Hollywood shorthand for a conclusion nobody is ever going to explain on the record. So they tossed the pilot and went shopping for a new Hanson. Enter Johnny Depp. He had A Nightmare on Elm Street on his resume, a handful of other credits, and a clearly stated preference for being a musician.
America's newest teen idol. His name is Johnny Depp. He's 24.
Acting was the thing keeping the electricity on while the band figured itself out, which is the only reasonable explanation for what he did next. He turned the role down. Then he turned it down again. Then he turned it down a few more times for good measure. Because nothing establishes career instincts quite like repeatedly saying no to the show that is specifically engineered to make you famous. What finally got him to sign was the combination every struggling actor eventually runs into: rent, bills, and a chance to work with Frederick Forrest, a respected character actor Depp genuinely wanted to share a scene with. Artistic integrity and a paycheck arriving in the same envelope. He said yes, probably not realizing he had just agreed to become the default poster for every teenager in America with a bedroom wall and a thumbtack. Number 13. The pilot and the title almost killed it. Before 21 Jump Street became a hit, it was a series of decisions that absolutely should have killed it and somehow didn't. The lead got replaced, the title got replaced. Either one could have ended the show before the opening credits ran. Problem 1, the lead actor. The original Tom Hanson was Jeff Yagher, who filmed the entire pilot. Fox watched the footage, decided he wasn't the guy, and scrapped it. Then the network and the producers couldn't agree on who should replace him. Fox wanted Josh Brolin. Producer Patrick Hosberg wanted Johnny Depp. An entire pilot in the can. A lead actor already cut, and the people making the show openly disagreeing about what to do next. Not the sturdiest launchpad a television series ever had. Problem 2, the title. The show was originally called Jump Street Chapel. That was the working title on actual documents. Fox executives eventually looked at Jump Street Chapel on paper, realized it sounded less like undercover teen cops and more like a weekly service with refreshments, and requested a change. It became 21 Jump Street, which at least sounded like somewhere law enforcement might show up. Recast lead, renamed show, 2 near misses stacked on top of each other before a single frame of the actual series aired.
It's a movie and not a TV show, and times are a little different now, so we just wanted to make something special.
Most shows don't survive one bad decision. This one survived 2, and still made it to the homeroom. Number 12. The episode that went where TV wouldn't. In the late 1980s, most of network television was handling the AIDS crisis by not handling it. St. Elsewhere had brushed the subject. The TV movie and early Frost addressed it in 1985. Anything aimed at younger audiences had decided this was a conversation for later, preferably much later, preferably on someone else's network. 21 Jump Street did not get that memo. On February 7, 1988, the show aired a Season 2 episode titled A Big Disease with a Little Name. The title alone signaled the next 45 minutes were not going to contain a cafeteria food fight. Hanson gets assigned to protect a high school student named Harley who has AIDS and is being treated by his community like a biological threat. Public information about AIDS in 1988 was a mess. People genuinely thought you could contract it through a handshake. Hanson explained directly that casual contact doesn't transmit the virus. A public service announcement dropped into the middle of a primetime drama, because a significant chunk of the audience actually needed to hear it. The plot runs parallel to Ryan White, the teenage hemophiliac expelled from his Indiana middle school after contracting HIV through a tainted blood transfusion. Harley's story ends the way a lot of real stories ended in 1988, and the show trusted its audience to handle that instead of wrapping things up with a tidy lesson and a commercial break. Number 11. The ridiculous premise was actually real police work. The premise of 21 Jump Street sounds like something a studio executive made up on a long lunch. Adult police officers dressed like teenagers enroll in high schools and solve crimes between fourth period English and cafeteria lunch.
Going back to high school is very much what the show is all about. All 4 actors play undercover cops posing as students.
It's absurd. It's also not fiction. The Los Angeles Police Department is generally credited with pioneering the operation the show was based on. This raises questions about both the officers doing the posing and the students who never noticed the 25-year-old in their geometry class. These weren't casual assignments. Officers attended class, turned in homework, ate cafeteria food, and slipped out at lunch to write reports at the narcotics office before heading back for 6th period. It kept happening long after the show wrapped. In 2012, a 22-year-old officer named Alex Salinas spent 8 months undercover at Exeter Union High School in Central California, built a case against a 14-person drug ring, and completed actual homework to keep his cover intact. The guy was risking his life by day and doing algebra by night. The real-world grounding is why the show hit differently. While the rest of the genre ran car chases and one-liners, Jump Street tackled drug addiction, child abuse, and hate crimes. While audiences watched adults pretend to be teenagers on screen, an actual police officer was somewhere in California, failing a pop quiz on purpose. So yeah, it sounded ridiculous on TV. In real life, it was just another day at work. Number 10. Johnny Depp tried to get himself fired. Once 21 Jump Street took off, Johnny Depp had a problem. And the problem wasn't the scripts, the problem was the screaming, the posters, the teen magazine photo shoots. The complete unmanageable hysteria that turned him into a Tiger Beat centerfold whether he wanted it or not. He didn't want it, and his response was to try with real commitment to get himself fired. Not quietly, though. Depp told The Telegraph in 2006 that he did everything possible to break his contract, trashing his trailer, causing problems on set, making himself enough of a nuisance that the network might release him. This did not work for reasons that become deeply funny in a minute. His issues with the material were on the record. He told Playboy that Fox were trying to turn me into Menudo, into the New Kids on the Block, the last comparison any actor wants in print. He called the show an action-packed can of soup. Then he started actually refusing to do things. Depp changed his lines without warning. He turned down episodes on moral grounds when he thought the writing didn't handle the subject matter correctly. And when the producers asked him to deliver a stay-in-school public service announcement, he flat out refused. Because he had dropped out of high school, and he wasn't about to get on camera and tell kids to do the opposite. He also had a counter pitch: give Hanson a peanut butter obsession, an undercover cop constantly eating peanut butter. The producers said no. We'll get to how that aged a little further down the countdown. The real twist: none of the sabotage worked. The moodier he got, the more the fans liked it. He was trying to burn the image down and accidentally handed Fox a better version of it. Number 9. The theme song was basically a cast party. The 21 Jump Street theme song is one of those instantly recognizable pieces of television audio that drops a specific generation straight back into lockers, leather jackets, and undercover operations of questionable legality. What most viewers didn't realize at the time was that the people performing it were also the people on screen. The lead vocal belonged to Holly Robinson-Peete, aka Officer Judy Hoffs. This was one of her first major national showcases as a singer, and she handled it like someone quietly auditioning for a record deal on the side. The twist is in the background. Those energetic jump chants punctuating the track were not the work of a contracted session vocalist. They were Johnny Depp and Peter DeLuise, Officer Doug Penhall on the show, shouting their way through the recording booth because a producer apparently decided, sure, the actors can do it. The song itself had legitimate pop credentials. It was written by Liam Sternberg, the same guy responsible for Walk Like an Egyptian for the Bangles. Lead actress singing, 2 male leads shouting in the background, a Bengal songwriter on the track, which means every time that theme played, the cast was literally hyping their own show. Number 8. The show made Fox a real network. In 1987, the Fox Broadcasting Company was not a network so much as a rumor. It was generally regarded by the industry as the new kid trying to sit at a table where ABC, CBS, and NBC had been comfortably parked for 40 years. The Big Three were not worried about Fox. The Big Three were barely aware Fox existed. Then 21 Jump Street showed up. In August 1987, the show became the first Fox series in the network's entire history to win its time slot against the Big Three.
Fox is all grown up, and 21 Jump Street is now a comedic romp where bungling police academy grads,
an achievement roughly equivalent to a garage band outselling Michael Jackson on the same week he released a new album. Nobody had scripts for what to do about it. Fox had spent years getting politely ignored, and suddenly there were numbers on the board the competition had to actually look at. Fox had accidentally discovered an entire audience the Big Three were actively ignoring. Combined with Married with Children and The Tracy Ullman Show, it proved a fourth network could produce programming people actually wanted to watch. Fox stopped being the extra channel and started being a network. Quick pause, if you're enjoying this one, hit the like button and subscribe. Drop a comment below. Did you ever actually buy that these guys were high schoolers, or was it obvious from day one? Alright, let's head back to the station. Number 7. The on-screen couple wasn't actually acting. Most 1980s television romances fell into one of two categories. Either the couple was saccharine perfect and clearly written by a team of adults who had never been in a relationship, or they were toxic enough to burn the network building down by sweeps week. 21 Jump Street had one of them. Peter DeLuise played Officer Doug Penhall, the easygoing comic relief of the main cast. Starting in Season 2, his character got a live-in girlfriend named Dorothy Pizzino, played by Gina Nemo, who appeared across multiple episodes in Seasons 2 and 3. Their dynamic on screen was specifically not swoony. They bickered constantly. They talked over each other. They argued about small pointless things with the confidence of two people who had long since stopped pretending to be polite about it. One rewatch blogger later compared their vibe to the Honeymooners, arguing nonstop while remaining visibly genuinely in love. The reason it read as authentic on screen was that it was authentic off-screen. DeLuise and Nemo were dating in real life while filming those episodes. In 1988, right in the middle of the show's peak popularity, they got married, which is either brilliant casting or a cautionary tale about inviting network television into your personal life. It briefly worked as both. Their on-screen dynamic stayed grounded in a way most 1980s TV couples never managed, and the show benefited from a relationship the writers didn't have to construct from scratch. DeLuise and Nemo divorced in 1992, shortly after the series ended. The real-life version did not age as well as the footage did. Number 6. The guest star roster that aged into a who's who. Every long-running show ends up with a guest star list that looks wildly different a decade later than it did at the time. 21 Jump Street's guest roster went from decent casting to, how did they get all these people? Somewhere between an original airing and syndication reruns. Start with Brad Pitt, before Thelma and Louise, before Legends of the Fall. Before being Brad Pitt was a full-time occupation. He turned up in a 1988 episode titled Best Years of Your Life, playing a high school student. The credit reads, Brad Pitt, with no fanfare because in 1988 there was no fanfare to apply. He was just another good-looking kid on the call sheet. Jason Priestley showed up 3 years before Beverly Hills 90210 made him a household name, playing a character in a 1987 episode. Josh Brolin, the same Josh Brolin Fox originally wanted for the lead role, eventually appeared in a guest spot of his own, which is either karmic closure or a producer with a long memory. The list keeps going. Vince Vaughn, Christina Applegate, Bridget Fonda, Pauly Shore, Blair Underwood, Rosie Perez in one of her earliest credits, Jada Pinkett, Shannon Doherty, Larenz Tate. If you had a baby face in the 80s and 90s, there was a segment waiting for you on Jump Street. The casting department was either extraordinarily lucky or extraordinarily good at spotting talent 3 years ahead of everyone else. The show ran from 1987 to 1991, which turned out to be the exact window when a significant chunk of the next decade's biggest stars needed their first real TV credit. Jump Street was there, handing out scripts. Number 5, the weekly war with the network censors. For a series built around drugs, abuse, hate crimes, and teenagers making decisions that would horrify their parents, 21 Jump Street still had to operate inside 1980s network rules. Every episode was a quiet negotiation between the writers trying to tell real stories and Fox standards and practices trying to make those stories slightly less real before they hit the air. The most visible example is also the funniest one. Throughout Season 1, the word ass gets used on multiple occasions. The word is clearly there, the cast is clearly saying it, and the network was clearly not going to allow it. So in post-production, Fox dubbed every instance over with the word tail. This did not work the way the network wanted. Tail is a completely different shape than ass. Watch those episodes now and you can see mouths forming one word while the audio politely supplies a different one. It's the television equivalent of a clumsy cover-up. Everyone involved knows what happened, nobody is going to say it out loud, and the evidence is right there on the tape. Number 4, the episode Fox shelved and then sold twice. 21 Jump Street had spent 4 seasons pushing at the edges of what network television would allow. Drug addiction, hate crimes, AIDS, subject matter most primetime dramas wouldn't touch. Then came Blackout. The episode sends Hanson, Penhall, and Hoffs undercover into a high school to investigate a gang rape case. A storm knocks out the power, the 3 officers get trapped inside, and the building descends into chaos. Students turning on teachers, violence spreading through the halls. The subject matter was heavy, even for Jump Street standards, and that's a high bar. Blackout was filmed earlier in Season 4 and originally positioned as the season finale. By the time it finally aired in June 1990, Johnny Depp had already wrapped and moved on to film work. It was also the last 21 Jump Street episode to air on Fox before the show moved to syndication, and Depp's final appearance on the series. And then it got stranger. When Anchor Bay released the series on DVD in the mid-2000s, they moved Blackout off Season 4 and bundled it with Season 5, a season Depp wasn't in. They then put his face prominently on the Season 5 cover art. Fans noticed immediately, the backlash was loud, and the move got called out as deliberately misleading marketing. Anchor Bay's own explanation that the episode aired between seasons didn't do much to calm the complaints. If you bought Season 5 expecting Johnny Depp, you got 1 episode of Johnny Depp and 4 seasons of cover art regret. Number 3, the one officer who actually served the full tour. The 21 Jump Street cast list went through more turnover than most real participants. Johnny Depp left after Season 4. Richard Grieco spun off into his own show. Dustin Nguyen departed in Season 4. Stephen Williams' Captain Fuller arrived midway through Season 1, after Frederick Forrest' Captain Janko got written out early. Through all of it, 1 officer stayed on the roster from the pilot to the finale, Holly Robinson-Peete.
Dustin Nguyen and Holly Robinson all have fans.
Hey, Judy, there you go, get up.
She played Officer Judy Hoffs across every single season, 1987 to 1991. The only original main cast member to complete the full 5-season run without leaving, getting killed off, getting promoted out, or getting spun off into a different series. While the rest of the unit rotated through, Hoffs kept showing up for work. She also earned the character's in-show promotion to detective along the way, a rank Hoffs genuinely had to work for across several seasons. When the Jonah Hill and Channing Tatum film rolled around in 2012, she came back for a cameo as Officer Judy Hoffs. Still the same character, still the longest tenure of anyone who ever wore that badge on camera. There was one catch: the film credited her as officer, not detective. 20+ years of on-screen police work, a hard-earned promotion in the original series, and the movie quietly demoted her. Robinson-Peete caught it immediately. As she told Essence about the cameo, "I'm gonna let that slide. I must have done something wrong because I sure did work hard to be detective back then." 25 years in, she was the only person who could legitimately claim to have been there the whole time. And she was also the only person who noticed the movie put her back in patrol. Number 2. The show turned Vancouver into Hollywood North. Turn on American television today and a decent percentage of what you're watching is filmed in Canada. That New York street that looks suspiciously clean is Vancouver. That California high school with oddly cooperative weather, also Vancouver. 21 Jump Street was one of the shows that started it. In the late 1980s, Vancouver was just Vancouver. Nice city, excellent views. Not the first place anyone pictured when they thought of a gritty American cop drama. Fox looked at the budget, looked at what filming in Los Angeles would cost, and made a decision that had very little to do with artistic vision and everything to do with arithmetic. The show headed north. Just like that, Jump Street became one of the first high-profile US dramas to film entirely in British Columbia. The Canadian dollar was working in the production's favor. Local tax incentives were generous, and every line item was cheaper than the LA equivalent. A deeply unromantic origin story for one of the biggest shifts in how American television gets made. The surprise was that it didn't look cheap. The SkyTrain showed up in the opening credits. Local high schools like Vancouver Tech stood in for American ones. 5 seasons gave the city time to build real infrastructure, skilled crews, experienced technicians working film town bones. Once that existed, the X-Files walked in and used it. Stargate SG-1 followed. Today, British Columbia is the 3rd largest film and TV production center in North America. Number 1. Johnny Depp came back to bury his own character. By the time Phil Lord and Chris Miller started building the 2012 film version of 21 Jump Street, Johnny Depp had spent roughly 2 decades trying to distance himself from the role. He'd once described it as a prison creatively. He had built an entire post-series career on the specific goal of not being remembered for this show. So when the filmmakers asked him to cameo, the answer came with paperwork. Condition 1, bring back Peter DeLuise. If Hanson was showing up, Penhall was showing up too. A surprisingly sentimental ask from the guy who actively tried to get fired, but fine. Condition 2 was the peanut butter. 25 years after Fox shut down his pitch to give Hanson a peanut butter obsession, Depp finally got to cash that check. In the film, he appears eating peanut butter in every scene and wears a fake peanut butter tattoo. 25 years to win 1 argument, and he took the full victory lap. Condition 3 was less sentimental. Depp wanted Tom Hanson dead. According to the Blu-ray featurette Johnny Depp on set, he wanted the character retired permanently. Closure delivered on his own terms. Lord Miller and co-writer Jonah Hill had already been building toward a comedic shock beat in the climax. Depp's request lined up with their script so cleanly it almost looked planned. In the film, Hanson and Penhall turn up as undercover DEA agents still working the long con, aging suspiciously well using the same McQuaid alias from the original series. For about 2 minutes, it reads like the warm reunion fans were expecting. Then the shootout starts, and both of them get shot on camera during the climactic action sequence. For a guy who spent his career trying to escape Tom Hanson, that's about as definitive as it gets. And there you have it, 15 weird and wild facts about 21 Jump Street. Which one hit you the most? Drop it in the comments. And share this with someone who still remembers when Johnny Depp was just a brooding guy from that teen cop show. Until next time, this is Remember When.